So in the chat room, Caleb Woods is talking about his boyfriend who's about to come out to his family tomorrow. And Caleb is from Alabama. Is that right? Is it Alabama? I think it's Alabama. And he is from a very conservative area, obviously, the whole state pretty much. And he came out recently to his family, and his boyfriend, of long-term boyfriend, pretty long-term boyfriend, is coming out to his family tomorrow. So he's a little nervous for his boyfriend and asks how he should handle it. Well, basically, there's nothing for you to do except to be there to support Luke. I mean, it's not your family he's coming out to. He's seen you come out to yours. I think he probably was inspired by what happened with yours, even though they kind of backtracked a little bit. I remember you telling me about that after the fact. But generally speaking, it was received generally well by your family. Pretty well, considering how it could have been received, I mean. And he, I think, was probably inspired by that. And I think that's why he's decided to come out, because he knows the world's not going to fall down around him. He's not going to cease to exist. And his family will probably continue to love him. But regardless of what their reaction is, regardless of what they say to him when he comes out and tells them that he is gay, he has to realize that he has to be who he is and live his life. It's his life to live. It's not their life to live. He can't live his life for anybody else. And that's one of the things I say on my show all the time. You have to live your life for you. No one else. You're not living your life to please your parents, because they've lived their lives. They've made their choices. They've made their decisions. You do not owe your parents anything. I mean, I know that sounds harsh, but you don't owe them anything. If you want to do things for them, that's different. And I love my mother, and I do feel a debt to her because she was a great mom. But I'm saying I don't have to do anything for her, and he doesn't either. And Caleb says, I keep telling him, what if I die? You put me in a horrible situation. Why are you... Okay, are you on anxiety medication, Caleb? You always have these incredibly crazy scenarios in your head. You worry about the most ridiculous things. Well, first of all, what do you mean if you die, I keep telling him, what if I die? If you die, you've put him in a horrible situation. I don't understand what the fuck you're trying to say. I'm sorry, I'm confused. You've put me in a horrible situation if he dies. If you die. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean. But anyway, you want to explain that to me? Because I'm not quite understanding what you're saying here. But anyway, I hope that it goes well tomorrow with his family, and I hope that, I'm sure you'll be there to support him. And you need to stop worrying so much about things you can't control. I mean, basically, if there's a situation that you have no control over, and you have no control over the situation, there's no point in worrying about the outcome. It's, of course, important to you what happens. I understand that. And to that extent, that makes sense. But beyond that, having such anxiety about it is just ridiculous. Just go to sleep and be refreshed for your class tomorrow, and it'll be fine. If he dies and he's not out, my situation would be super awkward. Well, don't think about what your situation would be. Think about what he is going through. Don't think about yourself. Think about you. And he's not going to die. And if he does die, then he dies and you'll deal with it. But it's not going to happen, for God's sakes. It's a very unlikely thing to happen, okay? Stop worrying about things that you cannot control. Just worry about the things that you can't control. What the hell is that fucking prayer they say in AA, which I've never been to? I just know the Lord's Prayer or whatever. It's like, give me the strength to change the things I can and not worry about the things I can't change, or some shit like that, and to know the difference, something like that. I mean, that's very, very wise, because your entire life is filled with things that happen to you. All of us are, our lives are filled with things that happen to us. And all we can do is react to them, and how we get up and react to them is what makes us who we are. So just the serenity prayer. Thank you, David. So you really have to stop worrying about things. And you know what? Caleb, I've said this to you so many times. I was so much like you when I was your age. It sounds so weird because I know I'm not like that much older, but I am also. But I think that when I was your age, I had a lot of anxiety about things, and I was also a bit of a control freak, and not necessarily controlling other people, but controlling my environment, controlling how I was perceived, controlling how I lived my life, and so because I was such a control freak at that age, I was trying to control everything that happened to me. And I finally, after just wising up as I got older, realized that there's just a shit you can't control. And if you try to control everything, then you're going to drive yourself fucking crazy with anxiety and worry and put yourself in an early grave. And so just worry about the things that you can control. He says he's just super nice and I have damaged past, so I'm afraid of losing him because sometimes I feel like that's what I deserve, blah. Yes, heard the prayer before down here in Alabama. Well, Caleb, hold on. I'm about to sneeze. Hold on. Okay, sorry, I had to mute myself. Allergies. Anyway, Caleb, what are you talking about? Why do you feel that you, Caleb? You and I are so much alike. It's just frightening. When I was your age, it's just frightening. Okay, look, you. I don't know where to start with this. First of all, ask yourself, why are you afraid of losing him? What does that have to do with him coming out? Tell me the answer to that question first. Him coming out, what does it have to do with you losing him? Or how is that going to eventually going to impact your life? Okay? Tell me what that means. Because I'm not quite sure what you're worried about. I mean, how him coming out impacts your life. What specifically does it do to you? Because I'm trying to understand, what your thinking is on this. You seem a little bit neurotic about it. I mean, you don't seem it. You are neurotic about it. So you need to let it go. I'm not sure. Well, okay. Well, obviously you have a fear of losing him, and it's natural to have a fear of losing somebody that you're close to or that you love or in love with, whatever. Of course, that's natural to a normal extent, but to me, it sounds like the things I've talked about you before, but specifically tonight, you seem to have a great deal of anxiety going on right now. Oh, David says, I think he is saying if his coming out goes bad, and then his boyfriend may resent him because he was coming out for him possibly. Well, just that I can't be with him on holidays without his family questioning. So did you push him to come out? Is that what you're saying, Caleb? And you're worried that it's going to backlash on you or whatever? Is that what you're trying to say? Because honestly, his decision to come out is his own decision. And if he comes out and makes that decision because you wanted him to, then that's his own fault for doing that in the first place. Because honestly, if he comes out for himself, that's great. But if he does it for you, he's doing it for the wrong reasons in the first place. He should do it for himself and be at the point where he's ready to do it on his own, because that's what really means a lot and matters. I mean, it's unfortunately, we as gay men have to come out eventually, whether we're 5 years old or whether we're 50. He says, no, I didn't push him to it. He's been saying he was for almost a year. Okay, well then what are you worried about? Stop worrying. You need to get on some Xanax or some Prestique or some Prozac or something. You have anxiety issues, okay? Because your anxiety seems neurotic and out of control to me, honestly, Caleb. I love you, Caleb. I'm just saying that your anxiety seems really out. It seems irrational, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It seems like it's irrational. Unless there's not something I know, or you're not telling me something, that from what you've told me, it seems irrational anxiety. So maybe you want to see someone about your anxiety levels, because it's not sounding rational to me. I hate meds, was on depression meds for 5 years. Okay, well, maybe you should think about yoga or meditation or something that's going to allow you to get out of your head. Because you know what? I was like you when I was your age. I really was. I was very similar in that way. And I'm very much in my head. I'm very much Gemini, and I'm always thinking and about analyzing everything in every situation from every angle. And that in of itself creates a great deal of anxiety. And I've dealt with anxiety issues all of my life. Excuse me. So I understand it, and that's why I can identify it in someone else, because I know what you're feeling and how you're feeling. But if you need to be able to have cognitive therapy with someone. You do think a lot, analyze, and worry. Yes, I know you do, because you're just like I was. I understand that. But you either need to be on medication that will help you that way, or you need to go see a therapist and talk about it with somebody through cognitive therapy, which will help you manage your anxiety levels and help you understand when you're spinning out of control. Because to me, it sounds like you're worrying about things you can't control, and you are just working yourself into a frenzy about it. And this is not even anything to do with you. I mean, it has to do with you indirectly, obviously, but this is not you. This is your husband, boyfriend, whatever. And all you need to worry about, Caleb, is supporting him. Whatever happens tomorrow after he comes home or whatever and tells you what happened, whether it went well or went badly, you say that I'm here for you. What do you need from me? I love you. And if it's a good outcome, then say great. You go celebrate. Wonderful. If it's a bad outcome, then you say you're there for him, and whatever you need, you'll be there for him. And that's all you can do as a partner, and support him and be there. That's what he needs. He doesn't need you to solve his problems. He doesn't need you to worry so much about him. He says, I've always worried about stuff like that, so I've never thought it was odd because I figured others thought the same thoughts. Well, I did too, Caleb. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Is that the reason I know, no, you're not crazy, by the way. No, you're not. Of course you're not crazy. I'm just saying that the reason that I know that what you're thinking and how you're acting is irrational is because I was like you at your age. I thought the same way, and I tried to control every situation I was in because I had so much anxiety. So you need to listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. I know wherever I speak on this because I've experienced it. I've been through it. I'm 38 years old. You're 22 or something. So and I know I've been through it, and I understand how I got over it and how I got past it. And just listen to me and say, focus only on what you can control. And just remember that. Okay, 24. Okay. Focus only on what you can control and stop worrying about the things you can't, period. And that you'll be a much happier person that way. And you'll be much more available to be happy. Because, when I realized when I stopped doing that, I was a much happier person. People recognized that I was happier. People saw it in my behavior, and I was laughing a lot more. And I just was able to do that. And I did that through cognitive therapy primarily. I also was on Paxil when I was 24 to 25, or no, I was on 6 months, actually, about 24 years old. Actually, your age, yes, 24. And I was on Paxil. And it worked. Of course, it had horrible side effects where I couldn't come ever. When I was having sex, I couldn't come. I could get hard and everything. That was fine, but I couldn't come. So it was horrible. So I got off of that because I couldn't have sex. I was with someone at the time. I was with someone for 3 years in that period. And so I stopped using it for that purpose. But that reason, I mean. But what was I going to say? Actually, I was 25, actually. So I used Paxil to help me get through it. It did work, and it helped me kind of as a crutch to just get through it for a moment of time while I was going to cognitive therapy to help me understand what's happening in my body chemistry, in my brain when I had anxiety, when it was coming up, and that it is something that you physically can stop from happening. Because once it starts, it's the cycle that happens in your brain and your body and adrenaline rushing and things like that, sort of to some degree. And I'm not talking just about panic attacks or just anxiety attacks. I'm talking also about just generalized anxiety. It's something you can physically control. So you begin to recognize the signs when it's happening, and you stop it from happening, and you stop from spinning out of control. Stop your thinking from spinning out of control. And to me, that's what sounds like you're doing. So I just hope that you understand what I'm saying. I'm telling you all this is because I care about you, and I hope that things go well for you, and I understand you better than you think I do, and I want things to go well. So stop worrying. You're a good guy. You're a nice guy. You're a sweet guy. Your boyfriend seems the same. And so stop worrying about things you can't control. You need to fucking write that on the mirror or something, or print it out and tape it to the mirror or on your hand. I don't know what, but you need to put it somewhere. Don't worry about things I cannot control, and just keep it there for a week until you remember, or a month or whatever, that every day when you go out into the world, something you can't control, just sit back, relax, and stop worrying so much about it. So, okay. So I want to thank you, Caleb, for coming out. You need to go to bed so you can get up in 7 hours for your class in the morning so you can be refreshed and pass and do well. And David, thank you for coming to the show, BTG as well earlier. I appreciate you guys coming to the show and listening, everybody else who's listening and everybody else who's listened and will listen later. I appreciate it. By the way, be sure to listen to The Crew Show coming on October 31st here on Spreaker. It features myself, it features David from the 5x5 show, and Ken Boggle from the Ken Boggle Show, which is on BTR. And it's three personalities, and we are talking about various topics from three different perspectives, three different gay perspectives. There's the David, the Whoopi Goldberg of the group. There's myself, who's the Joy Behar of the group, I would say. And then there's Ken Boggle, whom we refer to as the Elizabeth